So I'm officially started recording on here, so make sure you guard your statements wisely as we as we move forward. Just kidding. It's going to be a great time together. I want to welcome all of you. It looks like we have around 10 on the Zoom meeting right now, and we'll probably have some more joining us throughout the course of our time together today. And for some of you, you may have taken a BGU class before, and you're very familiar with the Zoom technology. Some of you might be trying to figure it all out for the first time, and that's okay as well. You'll get the hang of it here soon. What I usually do at the start of a course is just kind of go over some of those logistics. So if you're utilizing Zoom, one of the things to keep in mind is that in the bottom left hand of your screen, you have your mute button and you have your video button. And so the main thing is when you're not talking, you want to try to mute yourself by just clicking on the little mute button, which I'll do just to demonstrate. So you couldn't hear me when I was talking, obviously. And then on the bottom left, if you do have a comment, then you can just click on your mute button to unmute yourself, and that really helps with the background noise. Oftentimes people are calling in from cafes or wherever you can get an internet connection, so it really helps with that. And then also the stop video, if you ever I know sometimes, especially with a course like this, it's going to be early in the morning for the time I selected, or it could be really late at night for some of our leaders who are on as well, or afternoon. So wherever you are, if you ever want to not use your video, it's nice to see your face, so I prefer you use your video if you're able to. But you can just hit the stop video button, and your picture will pop up, and then everybody won't be able to see if you're having a bad hair day or something. Then you'll be able to disguise yourself. But it is great to be able to see everyone's face. That's one of the great things about this technology that we have. So those are some of the basics of Zoom. And then when we get into the course, if there's ever any presentations that we have, then, and I'll be sharing my screen today as well, but we have the share button, which kind of prompts you through how to share your computer screen with everybody. If you're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, or if you have an article or something you want everyone to see, you would use the share screen. And then also we have the chat button at the bottom there. And the chat button is available to have side conversations, and these side conversations, they can be related to whatever somebody is sharing, or if you have any questions that you want to send to me or to the group, or any thoughts that you have, without kind of interrupting the flow of the discussion that's happening. So I'll be checking the chat room periodically, but you just open that up by clicking on that, and you can also, that'll show you you can send individual chats to each other, or you can send chats to everyone in the whole course. And then you have the participants tab that you can click on to see who all is in the Zoom meeting. And we have those breakout rooms. I haven't used those breakout rooms too much, but we can use those for some group work later on in the course if needed. So I want to just extend a hearty welcome to everybody who is here, and just so you know what to expect for our time together today, it's going to be really short because we're going to have so much time together in Pittsburgh. I want to try to keep these Zoom meetings short and sweet. So really just today, I'm going to give you this, to practice using the Zoom technology, I'm going to give you a chance just to say hi to everybody and let everyone know where you're calling in from, or where you're Zooming in from. And then when we arrive in Pittsburgh, you can see already the introductions are happening in Populi in the online classroom. But also when you arrive in Pittsburgh, we're going to have some more extensive time for you to get to know each other and share your stories. So ordinarily, I might have you share your stories to start out, and if it was just a fully online class. But we'll be doing that on our first day in Pittsburgh. So with that in mind, I'm going to pray for us, and then after I pray, we'll do the brief intro, just saying hello, and then today's goal is just to get through our syllabus. So I have one printed out here. I'll also share one on the screen so that we can go through that. I'm not going to read through the whole syllabus word for word, but just want to make sure we start off on the same page really well. And then we'll be done in less than an hour, hopefully. And if anyone has any questions logistically about Pittsburgh, then we can talk a little bit about that as well. But I have actually an academic cabinet meeting for BGU right after this one, so it will be a short and sweet time together today. So let me go ahead and pray for us. God, thank you for this group that's gathered from around the world. I thank you for all the logistics that are coming together for this Pittsburgh City Immersion. We want to just put everything in your hands right now, even this online time together. I pray that you would inspire everyone, all these leaders who are taking this time to dedicate to this program and to this class. I pray that you would continue to bring resources for those who are still trying to raise money for the course. Pray for traveling mercies and for time to be able to read and reflect and really experience these transformational leadership perspectives in deep, meaningful ways so that you can empower us and grow us as leaders. So we do thank you for this time today, Lord, and we give every part of this conversation to you today. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So I want to just go around here and give you a chance just to say hello and wave to everybody, and just mention which country that you're or city that you're calling in from. So I'm going to just go down my participants list here. Gilbert, would you like to just say hello to everybody?
Oh, okay. Yes, good morning.
Where are you contacting us from today, Gilbert? Just to
I'm sorry, I'm trying to see if are you getting me?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Are you hearing? Okay. Yes, I'm in a cave today. I happen to be caught up in a cave, so I may not be very there may be a lot of noise in my background, but otherwise this morning I'm blessed. My name is Gilbert Jumba, for those who we have not met in class, and operating from Canada, Montreal. I don't know what else you needed to say.
That's it. Today we're just saying hi. You're going to get a chance to share your story when we're in Pittsburgh. So,
okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for saying hello. And just a reminder, you have that mute button in the bottom left corner there. If you have some noise in the background at the cafe there, you can cut out some of the background.
Okay.
All right, let's go next with Abraham. Why don't you say hi to everybody?
Good morning, everyone. This is afternoon in Nigeria. It's after 3 p.m. in Nigeria. I'm happy to join you in the lecture. Thank you.
Thanks for saying hi. I appreciate it. Let's go with Abidar. Want to say hello to everybody?
Thank you.
Your connection might not be good, or maybe you need to unmute Abidar. I think you're muted. All right, why don't we move on to Brian? Can you say hello?
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry, I'm kind of at work in between meetings. Just want to say hello to everybody. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock or so here in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where I'm calling from.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Sorry to get you busted at work.
No problem.
All right. Courtney, can you say hello?
Hi, morning to everyone. I am Courtney, as you have heard. I'm a Jamaican calling from New York this morning.
All right. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Dory, can you say hello?
Good morning. I'm Dory. I'm from Idaho in the United States, and it's raining here.
That's not good.
No.
Oh, thanks for saying hi. Appreciate it. Damaris, why don't you say hello? And Miguel, if you're on there too.
Good morning. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas. Very warm day here. Very happy that today is my son's birthday, so I'm celebrating today.
All right. Birthdays are always great.
Happy celebration.
And Miguel, are you on still?
I'm right here. Good morning, everybody. I'm Miguel Perez. I'm also calling and connecting from Dallas, Texas. And I'm Damaris' husband. and I'm going to be joining you auditing this course. It's a pleasure.
All right. Welcome. Can't wait to have you up here. Kathy, why don't you say hello?
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm calling from near Atlanta, outside of Atlanta. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, and everybody's coming from some different places, so it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Can't wait to see you up here in person as well. And why don't we have Jody say hello? Jody, you might be muted if you're trying to talk.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm doing this at work, so I'm juggling you around and people keep calling me. Hi, I'm Jody. I'm in South Jersey in Salem City, and it's about 10 a.m. here in New Jersey, and we're looking pretty good for today.
All right. Thanks for saying hi at work. I know a lot of people are juggling that today, so thanks for taking the time to join us.
No problem.
Natong, nice to see you. How are you? Why don't you introduce yourself or say hello?
Hello, my name is Natong, and I'm from Myanmar. I'm not sure whether you know where my country is. My country is right between China and India. So it is almost 9 p.m. in the night. Good to see you all.
All right. Yeah, it's almost midnight, right, for you?
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Thanks for staying up. This was the only time I could get that wasn't in the middle of the night for you. So if you fall asleep, we'll understand. But thank you. Tim, can you say hello real quick?
Absolutely. I'm in between meetings, so I didn't have my video on. But yeah, glad to be here with everybody. I'm from Ohio, calling in. Looking forward to being with everyone in a few weeks here in Pittsburgh.
All right. Thank you. Hubert, can you say hello?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Hubert, calling in from Guyana. This is down in South America. Pleasure meeting you all.
All right. And I'm just scrolling through my list here. Is Abayadar, do you want to try again to say hello? Couldn't hear you last time. It looks like her connection didn't end up working out. So is there anybody else that I missed?
Michelle.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. I'm sorry. It wasn't popping up for some reason. But
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself? I'm sorry.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle, a Michigander, USA, calling in from Ohio, USA this morning. Looking forward to meeting everyone in my father's hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA.
Yay.
Yay.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Anyone else that I missed? Since I'm glad I did that. I want to make sure I get everybody. All right, wonderful. So our goals for today, as I mentioned earlier, some of you just may have joined recently, is just to go over the course syllabus, and we'll have this recording so that if you ever want to kind of go back and get some context on some things you're working through, then that would be great. We'll have 2 more of these Zoom meetings before our time together in Pittsburgh. So we're going to try to meet on October 11th at this time, and also on the 18th at this time, which some of you might even be traveling that day. But hopefully we'll still get some of you to join us. We're going to have Nita Katiga join us on the 11th, and she's going to help us with some of the spiritual formation practices that we're going to do to help you reflect on your time while you're in Pittsburgh. I was hoping that Nita was going to be able to join us in person for Pittsburgh, but she had some things come up where she's not going to be able to. So I'll be the main professor of record, and that's all right on track, but just wanted to let you know about that. But she's going to hopefully join us for some Zoom things to help with some of the spiritual formation things she was going to do. So, and then we will have some Zoom meetings after Pittsburgh. I just want to wait till we get everybody together just to schedule those and see where we're at with everything. So we've gone over the basics of Zoom. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me and I can walk you through that. Also, I've noticed a lot of you are in Populi, which is great. This is a really basic week in Populi just for you to kind of review some of the course materials and say hello to each other and introduce yourself. And you can see I've already popped in there and made a few comments. So usually I'll introduce some comments, some content at the start of the week. So you can check in on a Monday and see what new material has been released, and then jump in on the discussions. And then Populi is intended for you to join. Some of you are night owls. You can make comments at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want to. Some of you are early risers and can comment at 5 or 6 in the morning. And some of you might get in there and make your comments during work breaks during the day or things like that. But yeah, whenever you can get in there and have your initial comments in by Wednesday of that week would be great. And then you'll have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to kind of respond to your classmates. If you have the opportunity to have your syllabus, you can go ahead and pull it out now. And what I'll do actually is, let's see here. I'm going to try to share my screen. All right, and I am going to, let me stop sharing that. Just a second here so I can get my syllabus pulled up. There it is. All right, now I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see this. And it's relatively easy to share your screen. So again, if this is your first BGU class, this is kind of how we'll operate. If we have different presentations or things to share, you can share your screen. But I wanted to just walk through this. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. If you have any questions along the way here, please just let me know, and you can raise your hand in the or just kind of give me a shout, and I'll call on you here, or feel free to just jump in and ask any questions. So the main thing I wanted to go over was the course information section right here, the course description. So if this course, in this course, you'll be exposed to the principles and practices of transformational leadership in the global city. This course will cover characteristics and skill sets of the transformational leader and the practices of various transformational ministries in the context of concentrated poverty, as well as urban renewal. The role of collaboration and civic networking will be explored, as well as the themes of transformational business, conceptual and strategic approaches to cities, theological foundations for incarnational leadership, and other components of Christian community development. The course contains many experiential features, as well as more traditional academic pedagogies to help participants with application in their own context. Wow, that's a lot in there that we're going to pack into this Pittsburgh course. So I hope you get the message that this is a serious course, and I know a lot of you are making a significant investment of your time and your energy and your finances to be here. And so my goal as your professor of record is to really make this an excellent, top-notch educational experience for you. At the same point, it's a Bakke Graduate University course, and you picked us to do your graduate studies, which means we're going to have fun. We're going to get into this city. There's going to be things that don't go well. There's going to be site visits that we do that blow up, and there's going to be unexpected things that happen that are going to be amazing, that are going to be Holy Spirit moments, that just something magical happens. So I'm doing my best to organize the course in a way that is going to be exciting for you. You're going to be really tired at the end of it, and probably at the end of each day you're going to be tired. But I don't want to wear you too ragged as well. So I'm trying to space out the site visits and seed time while we're in Pittsburgh as best as I can. But the reason I bring that up is just we do want you to understand what you're going to be studying here. So we're going to visit some businesses, some nonprofits, some local churches, and we're going to also look at some systemic issues in our city, such as education reform. I'm excited to share that we have some time set up with our mayor, Bill Peduto, on one of the days for our site visits, and with our councilman for the city. So just some exciting things. We'll be meeting with powerful people, and we'll also be going into some hard places to meet with leaders who are doing ministry around poverty alleviation, issues like racism and violence intervention and poverty alleviation. We're going to meet some incarnational leaders who are doing really remarkable work in Pittsburgh and hard places as well. And that's BGU. We go to the powerful and the powerless, but we do it in a way that exposes you to a lot of different perspectives in the city. So as I've mentioned to you previously and in the syllabus, it's a city that's undergoing a renaissance where, we were a city that was known for steel, and we kind of grew in that. It's a city of neighborhoods of around 2.5 million people. And Pittsburgh lost a lot of population for the past few decades because of the decline of the steel industry. And now we're kind of reinventing ourselves around education and medicine and technology. And so we're going to see a lot of those different perspectives while you're here in the city. But that's the basic course description. I'm going to skip over this. As I mentioned, I'll be the main professor of record for the course, and the dates. It's the 19th through the 27th, and I know a lot of you have been working with Jackie Speed, our site coordinator, on your travel logistics and your housing and things like that. So I know some of you are still working on some of those last minute logistics, and trusting that the Lord's going to come through with some of those travel plans that you have. So just a little bit about me. As I mentioned, Nita and Willie are not going to be coming down from Toronto, and I made this adjustment in the online site. It would have been great to have them, but unfortunately they weren't able to come. But this is kind of my baby, this class. I've actually dreamed about doing this for this BGU City Immersion since I started my first class at BGU in 2009. I've wanted to do an immersion here in Pittsburgh through BGU. So this is actually a dream come true to me. I am so excited to show off my city to you, and the great work that is happening here, and also the challenges that we're facing in the city. So just a little bit about me there. You probably went through that in the syllabus, but there's just a little bit about myself. I'm a Baki grad in 2012, and I've been teaching with them. About a year after I graduated, I inherited a BGU class, and have just really loved teaching that. I teach our transformational leadership class as well, and just started directing the DTL program in April, which has been just an amazing time. So I'm still doing pastoral work in Pittsburgh, but I'm also involved in leading the DTL program for BGU as well. So a little bit in there, you can go to, check out the Urban Shalom Society if you want to see some of that work. There, we have a website, and you can see our journal and things like that. And you'll get a chance to meet my wife, Julie, and my daughters, Kira and Sierra, whenever you come to Pittsburgh. So excited for you to meet them as well. My family's excited to welcome everybody. I wanted to skip down here to, the instructional methodology. Hopefully you've gotten familiar with Zoom, and also that you're in Populi kind of navigating that. And just let me know any questions that you have. Like I said, at any time, if you need any support with utilizing the technology through BGU. I love our technology. It makes us possible. This is amazing that we have all these different countries represented, and that we have the technology to be able to see each other's faces and to hear from each other and to share knowledge with each other. It's what I love about BGU. It's a truly global student body and really amazing leaders where we can learn from each other. But sometimes technology can be a challenge to navigate through. So we want you to feel empowered in Populi and with Zoom to be able to have the best experience possible. These learning outcomes for the course, these are going to be what you're graded on in your final project. So make sure you don't pass these over. These 5 different areas that we're trying to emphasize for these learning outcomes in spiritual formation, perspective, knowledge, skills, and application. I'm actually going to read through these so we're all on the same page. The spiritual formation, we want you to be able to demonstrate a biblical or theological basis for your life and work, especially in the context of authentic community through personal spiritual growth that significantly increases right relationships with God, self, others, and creation. So this is why we have a spiritual formation component to the course. We're going to have times each morning where we reflect and we spend some time with the Lord and what God is revealing to us. And then also in the evenings, you'll have time to journal and to connect with each other. The neighborhood that we have, the main part of our course, East Liberty, has lots of coffee shops and restaurants and hangout spots for you to be able to just kind of unpack the things that you're learning and pray with each other and encourage each other. And you might, those of you who are staying with host families might be doing some of that with your host families as well. For perspective, we're going to be able to recognize diversity as a gift from God, ethnically, economically, culturally, and globally, while demonstrating your understanding of the 8 perspectives of transformational leadership: calling-based, incarnational, reflective, servant, contextual, shalom, prophetic, and global. If this is your first BGU course, you're going to have those 8 perspectives on transformational leadership memorized, and you're going to know them like the back of your hand. It's going to be awesome. We're going to emphasize those while you're here in Pittsburgh. Those values are really important to BGU. And again, not just to know them in theory, but while you're here in Pittsburgh, you're going to be exposed to leaders who are kind of strong at some of these different areas of their leadership, and they're going to be sharing on some of these things. So that's why you saw your book list was kind of broken down into these 8 perspectives on transformational leadership. And also, we do truly value diversity. So in BGU courses, you don't have one smart person talking at you the whole time and dumping information into your head. You have a facilitator like me, who's a practitioner, who is helping other practitioners and leaders to learn from each other based off of the things we're reading and the things we're experiencing. So you're an expert and you have a lot to contribute, but you also have a lot to learn from our global student body, and I do as well. So that's why we have such a strong emphasis on diversity, and that means a lot of different things, but it's going to be great to experience the learning from each other and from the leaders we meet in Pittsburgh. Knowledge, you're going to be able to engage in a cooperative exchange of ideas, experiences, and knowledge stewarded for and with vulnerable people and places while developing a global perspective with a Christian worldview. That's kind of a classic BGU statement right there. But again, when you're writing out your project towards the end of the class time together, I'll be looking to see that you grasp onto some of the knowledge of the things that we went over in the course. The next one is skills. You're going to be able to identify quality research while demonstrating a capacity to identify models that address oppressive conditions in various cultures and contexts. Quality research is something that BGU is really big on, even though we have practitioners, so we're not a bunch of egghead scholars that are just pontificating about city stuff. But we do have practitioners, but we do want you to use your thinking caps. This is a doctoral program, and so the way I can make it kind of basic is when we want you to do critical thinking. So when you're making a comment in Populi, or when you're here in Pittsburgh, or especially towards the end of the course when you're writing your individual projects, I want you to try to back up what you're saying with sources, like things that you read in our books that are required for the course, or specific examples that cause people to think. And when you're giving examples, try to be really specific to your context and how you can apply what you're learning in your area. But we do value research, and so when you're here in Pittsburgh, you'll have the time to spend some time with me, and your individual project that you do will start to take shape, and we'll talk about what you think it's going to be, and then you're going to do some original research in your context to kind of report out on what you're learning and applying what you're learning to your local context. So some of you who are type A planners, you're already freaking out about the project because I haven't given you specific instructions and you want to get started on it right away. And but I want you to sit in that tension for a little bit. You can start thinking about it. But when you get here to Pittsburgh, I want some light bulbs to go off while we're doing the various site visits. And then you might say to me like, hey, I'm really thinking about doing my project on this when I get back home. Or you might be having a conversation with your classmates about that and bouncing ideas off of them. So you'll get there with your project. But if you want to get a head start, you can start on your book reviews, and that'll get you, you have 8 book reviews to work on. You can get all those done before you come to Pittsburgh if you want to. And then the last one here is application. Be able to identify strong leadership implementation models of holistic mission and organizational approaches with a global urban context, and making plans to develop a significant transformational impact in your local environment through contextualizing theories and best practices learned through the course. This is another key value at BGU. There's other doctoral programs that you can do where you're just going to learn a whole bunch of stuff and fill your head with a whole bunch of things, which is great. That's an important way to learn as well. But BGU, you don't get away with that, because everything you learn in your head has to make its way to your heart and into your calling and into your context, whether you're at a business or a neighborhood or a church, or you work at a nonprofit organization. Everything that you learn needs to be applied right back into the people that you serve in your local neighborhood. And that's how you'll be assessed with your project at the end. These 8 perspectives on transformational leadership, you can read through those on your own. But as I mentioned, you'll be deeply ingrained in those. I'll just say that when you write your individual project at the end, I do want to see you write about some of these perspectives on transformational leadership and incorporate that into your writing. The pre-course work, hopefully, I know the ideal situation is for you to have half of your reading done by the time you come to Pittsburgh for the course. And if you're taking the class for 8 credits, that's going to be 3,600 pages of reading is your full reading. So that would be 1,800 pages, sorry, half of that. By the time you come to Pittsburgh. I know some of you are still kind of piecing together your books and, or trying to find them. I know the book expenses is kind of a tough one. So anything you can do to check into your local library, if you have that resource available, anything you can do to get them on ebook form can help to save you some money. Our BGU online library has some PDF versions, so make sure you check in with Jennifer, our librarian, and she might have some PDF versions of the books for you. But at the end, it is kind of, I encourage students to build up their reading library, and many of you I know are learning these transformational leadership perspectives and turning around and then training other people as you're going. So it is helpful for you I know it's expensive up front to get these books, but I know for me personally, when I made the investment to get the books, I've been constantly lending my BGU library out for the past 8 years since I started. So, it is nice to have them and be able to lend them to people and have them read through them as well. But I know, again, for a lot of us, we're kind of tight financially and kind of piecing it together. So the online and on-site participation, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the main thing I know on-site, when you get here, with all of the resources and time that you're putting into this course, I know you're not going to get here and be quiet and not participate. So, but I will be kind of keeping track. And if 2 or 3 days goes by and you're not really engaging too much with the course when you're here in Pittsburgh, I might just give you a nice nudge to get more involved or be a little bit more assertive. And I know it can be hard when you're meeting people for the first time, and extroverts, it's really easy. Introverts, it's a little bit more of a challenge to kind of engage relationally or to speak your mind. But we really want you to participate. But online, the instructions are really clear. I'm hoping that you'll participate in those online discussions and populi and complete all the assignments. And you do get an attendance grade each week, our participation grade, based on whether you do the required assignments or not. That's going to be 25% of your grade. And then here's the book reviews. So just so there's no questions about this, you have one book review that's due for each of the credits that you're taking the course for. So most of you are taking this course for 8 credits, which means that your individual document at the end is going to have 8 book reviews in it. And now you'll notice that even with the 8 required book reviews that I have, that's not going to get you all the way up to 3,600 pages. So that's where you pick books from the recommended reading list and fill out the number of pages that you have required reading for the course. So the recommended list will help you to get to where you need to get. And then how do I assess that? On our BGU paper template, there's a section in there where you have to list out every book that you read to get to 3,600 pages, and you have to sign off that you read through the whole book. And then also I'll be looking for you to incorporate those books that you read off of the recommended list, incorporate some quotes or content from the authors into your final document. And so that's also how I'll know that you read those books as well, as best as I can, but also trusting that you guys know what you're doing and that you'll complete the assignment. But you will have 8 book reviews, and the book reviews, if you're taking your first course, then the main thing is to have these 3 sections. And please try to make sure that you follow the instructions, no more than 500 words. You can see the font that we're looking for, double spaced. And then the first paragraph is, what did the author say? So the main thing with that is I already read the books, so I don't need you to tell me what the author said extensively. I'm looking for you to give your own kind of version of how, oh, here's how I, here's what I see as the main thesis of the book in my own words. And then in the middle paragraph, this is where I'm looking for critical thinking. So I don't want you to, if you read Global Church by Graham Hill, you can write, this is the greatest book in the history of the world. This man is brilliant and all these different perspectives are incredible. I love the global blah, blah, blah. And I disagree with everything he said. Well, that's nice that you're really affirming of Graham, and he's a friend of mine. He's a really great person. But I'm more interested in you interacting with some of the content from the book with critical thinking. So for instance, you would drill a little bit deeper and say, oh, the section on liberation theology that came out of Latin America with people like Ruth Padilla de Boris and Rene Padilla and Escobar, that really challenged me theologically. I don't think I agreed with everything that they were sharing about that and all of those perspectives, and here's why, and you would cite some examples. So that's just an example of how that next layer of critical thinking is kind of what I'm looking for in your book reviews. And it's okay to disagree with an author. So you can say, I have a chapter in one of the books, and you can say, Brian McCabe's chapter was bunk, and here's why, blah, 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 so, but it's okay to push back, and that's a good thing. And then the final paragraph is you'll be applying what you read to your context, and you need to be really specific. So because I read this book and I was introduced to this perspective, when I get back to Pittsburgh, I am going to change the way that I lead my youth mentoring program by making this specific change. Or when I get back to Nigeria, I'm going to pull my pastor group together, and we're going to talk about the ramifications of this idea that I learned about, and here's how we're going to apply it. So I'm looking for you to kind of apply what you're learning, even initially with just one paragraph in your book review there. The journal chapter 2, you can see that the journal is just 2 to 3 pages. This will be based off of your time here in Pittsburgh. So every single day that you're here, this is going to be a real challenge for a lot of you, but you need to journal, whether it's in a notebook or in your computer. You can even journal right into your template document and keep your notes in there. But it's 2 to 3 pages. 2 pages, you can put some pictures in there of the different places that we go in Pittsburgh. But I want you to describe what you're experiencing, analyze what you're experiencing, and then apply and integrate what you're experiencing. So that's what your journal should be. And a lot of times I recommend that people actually write for each day: description, analysis, and then application, integration. That'll help to keep you focused. So I don't want 2 to 3 pages of you randomly just talking about stuff. I want you to use critical thinking to describe, analyze, and apply what you're experiencing here in Pittsburgh. Then your individual project is going to be, if you're taking the class for 8 credits, which most of you are, is going to be.
Sorry, Doc. Just one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Right. The journal, it will be only on your experience and time in Pittsburgh, or the overall class or Zoom class? So just,
Yes. So because we have an on-site course, thank you for saying that. I want your journals to be mostly focused on your time here in Pittsburgh. So you are able to, if you want to make one for each week that we have Zoom meetings, you're welcome to do that. But the journals will be for each day that you're in Pittsburgh.
Okay, Doc. Noted. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. That's a great question. I should have been more clear about that. The individual project, the course, as I mentioned earlier, the course project will require you to design, implement, evaluate, and report on some aspect of course related to ministry, professional, or business-related issues. Ideas will be suggested in class. This course project will be an integration of the course content, readings, lectures, site visits, etc., and your own ministry context. You may negotiate the topic with your professor. It must serve your current work, build its capacity, evaluate its fruitfulness, or plan a new course of action. So again, if this is your first doctoral course, you know, this is important that you learn to cite as you go. So just because you can say something doesn't mean that you can't also have another author from your readings say what you were going to say to reinforce your research and to bring credibility to what you're doing. So try to cite at least one quote from each of your books in your final project. And then, as I said, we'll help you to pick out what your application project is going to be when you're here in Pittsburgh, as I said earlier, because we have people who are business leaders, you know, church leaders, nonprofit leaders. It would be too hard to do all of that up front with the diversity in your project. So we'll help you land on that. And then when you get back to your context after Pittsburgh, then you'll write about those, that project. And then that project's going to be due December 31st. So you'll have until when you get back at the end of October, and you'll have some time to write out that paper. And then you'll have a self-evaluation that's like a 2 or 3 page just kind of reflection on the experience for you. And I do really want to hear from you whether you think this Pittsburgh class is the greatest thing since sliced bread and we should offer it all the time at BGU, or maybe it'll be an epic failure and no one will ever come to Pittsburgh again. But either way, we'll learn as we go, and there's going to be a lot that we learn from our time together.
Brian.
Yes.
Michelle Hill from Ohio. I have a few points of clarification. Thank you so much. You were very thorough. We appreciate being very thorough and detailed in the description. But I want to back up a few moments to the journal.
Sure, yeah.
So the journal has in the description, and thank you for saying Pittsburgh. So the journal has 2 parts, it sounds like. You want us to be descriptive, you want us to document while we're in Pittsburgh, but do you want the narration to be by day? So do we need to date each entry by day?
Yeah, so you'll see hopefully in the template that's already set up. So again, okay. I apologize to everybody. I'll be doing that periodically if there's something I've generated that isn't clear. But yes, while you're in Pittsburgh, each day that you're in Pittsburgh, you'll have an entry into your reflection journal.
Oh, okay, so that's it. On that portion, on page 5 of the syllabus, it says 2 to 3 pages, but on page 6, under submission of final document, bullet point number 4, journal entries as chapter 2, there we are. It says 7 to 14 pages, which means we also need to continue the journal, expand the journal through the online class as well. So today, should we be having an entry for our experience today?
No, so the one on page 6, again, thank you for your clarifying question. This is great. That means 7 to 14 pages is what your journal should be. So that means total. It's not 7 to 14 pages per day. It's 7.
No, not per day, because the PA experience, you said to limit it number of pages to 2 to 3 pages. So if it's limited to 2 to 3 pages, how is the journal entries going to be 7 to 14 at the end?
Right, so it might be a little bit longer than 14 pages. If it's 2 pages per day, you'll be
gotcha. Okay, so the 2 to 3 pages per day while we're in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and that's a good catch. I should expand that number of pages on there in that chapter 2 on page 6.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for from your reflection journal is while you're in Pittsburgh, 2 to 3 pages on each day that will be your journal entries.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, because I missed the exchange time, and I was expecting 1 hour later, and it was 1 hour before.
Oh,
but anyways.
Sorry.
About the book review, I don't know if you mentioned in the beginning, but we are supposed to deliver all of them in the end, inside of the final project, or per week?
Yeah, so the book reviews, go back up here. At the very end, those are due.
Okay.
So, and at the very end, you're going to have 8 book reviews that will be included. And each of those are, you can see the...
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Hi, Hubert here.
Hi, Hubert.
A question, I hope this will help me. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the idea of the project, and I know you said it's partly it will be birthed out of the experiences of the that we'll have while we're on the ground in Pittsburgh. But if you can just help me understand maybe some of the kinds of things that can arise in this kind of setting in terms of the projects we could probably be looking at, just so I can have a sense of what it is we are expected to do.
Yeah, thank you. I knew this is always a tough one. That's why I was kind of joking about it a little bit earlier. So first of all, if any of you wants to do a Zoom meeting like this individually before you come to Pittsburgh to help you prepare for your individual project, I would be happy to help you to do that, because I won't be able to cover all of that, you know, in a group setting like this leading up to where we're headed. But to drill a little bit deeper here, I want you to think about, you're going to get exposed to all of these different perspectives on transformational leadership while you're in Pittsburgh. You're going to see examples, you're going to read about these things, and then at BGU, we want you to try to apply everything back to your local context. So with your work that you're doing, while you're here in Pittsburgh, and we have a side conversation, you're going to say, okay, Dr. McCabe, let me get an hour of your time or half hour of your time, and we'll have a cup of coffee. And then you'll say, okay, so here's my work, and here's something that's happening with my calling or with my work or in my context that is a thing that is, I think I can apply what we're learning to. So I'll help you flesh that out, or your classmates will be able to help you flesh that out while you're in Pittsburgh. And so it could be something from the readings that really jumped out at you that you want to try to apply something you read to your local context where you are. Some of you have local neighborhood influence, some of you have national influence, and some of you have global influence. Some of you are leading organizations that are large. Some of you are doing more, you know, individual work on your own. And so what I'll do that week is to help you kind of narrow down a little bit, and I'll present examples while we're in Pittsburgh of things that you could write your project about. Again, I know I'm being kind of general, but so when you turn in that 40-page individual project at the end, that document is going to have quotations from each of the books that you read. And it's also going to have maybe a little bit about the Pittsburgh experience, some things that you experienced there that stood out to you that you might be able to apply. I'll give you a quick example in a second, but and then we want it to be really applicable to your work. So when I did a BGU overture in Latin America, I went to San Jose, Costa Rica, and we did a site visit with a group that were working with men and women who were being trafficked. They were involved with prostitution in downtown San Jose, Costa Rica. And at this site visit, we actually participated with them to go out and to go out at nighttime and do contact work with people who were caught up in that lifestyle. And then they had a ministry connected to a local church to help to get them out of that lifestyle and to support them and to kind of to minister to them. So when I got back to Pittsburgh, that was a kind of a big learning thing. I had never experienced that before, and the leaders that were connected there. When I got back to Pittsburgh, the very next day that I was back here in Pittsburgh, I was out walking around in my neighborhood here in Homewood, and there was a woman, I was walking around with a friend, and there was a woman who solicited us for prostitution. And so what was interesting is I would have handled that situation differently before taking this class, but then I kind of implemented some of the things I learned, and with the partnership of my wife being the main point person, we began an outreach to her and several of the other women in our part of the neighborhood. And so in my project, I actually wrote about that. I wrote about how I was applying what I learned directly to my context here in Pittsburgh based off of what I had learned about in Costa Rica and San Jose. And then I backed it up with things that I had read in some of the books for the course to kind of hash out some of the things that I was learning. So I know that's kind of a long example, but kind of what we're looking for is you applying your individual projects, you're going to be you writing about how you're processing through what you're going to apply. And it could be a project you're dreaming about. It could be something that you've always wanted to do, and now you have the margin to be able to write about it. Or it could be something that you're experiencing right now that's a challenging situation that you want to write about. So, Michelle, go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. From the list of book, we have a required reading and recommended reading. I want you to explain more. I need more clarification on required reading and the recommended readings.
Yeah. Okay, and just to note, we have about 10 more minutes here. So if you do have another question that you want to set up a time with me or email me about, I'm happy to help everyone out. I know you have a lot of questions, and so sorry that our time is a little bit rushed. But in terms of, we'll go ahead down to the reading list here. And so these books, Slum Life Rising, Street Saints, Global Church, The Serving Leader, Global Kingdom, Global People, Roadmap to Reconciliation, Dream with Me, and Urban Shalom in the Cities We Need. Those are the 8 books that I'm requiring for you to read for the course. And each one of those books relates to one of our transformational leadership perspectives at BGU. So my hope is that each of you will read all 8 of these books, and that you will write your book reviews on these 8 books. Now, the other thing is, with the recommended list then, these 8 books that are required are not going to get you to 3,600 pages. So that's where you have to come down in here into the recommended list and see if any of these books stand out to you as books that you might pick to read to fill out your 3,600 pages. If you really wanted to write a book review on one of the recommended books, or if you have an impossible time getting a hold of one of these required books, just let me know, and you can substitute in one of those books for your book reviews if needed, and I'll work with you on that. And some of you may have some books that aren't on the required or recommended reading list that you want to read for this course that's related to transformational leadership. And if you do, just email me or contact me, and we can substitute that in as one of your recommended books. I just have to get approval from our registrar at BGU if there's a new book that someone's introducing for a course. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. So you can see all the different books that we have on the reading list. On the required list, we have authors from Australia, England, Pittsburgh, New Zealand. John Perkins is based in the U.S. Brenda Salter McNeil is in the U.S. Melba McGay is based in the Philippines. John Stallworth, hopefully you get a chance to meet him in Pittsburgh. He's from Pittsburgh. Graham Hill is from Australia, but his book has perspectives from all over the world, every continent. And Barbara Elliott's based in the U.S. There's a chapter in there about Pittsburgh, so I wanted to include that book. And then Ash is originally from Australia and then Thailand, and now Birmingham, England. So even with just this one book with Graham Hill, we have the truly global perspective represented, which is what I wanted to try to do, and also have some books about related to Pittsburgh in here as well. So one of the things I wanted to just to remind you is scrolling back up here. There's a project template that you can get from BGU, and I'll upload one in the info tab in Populi that shows you how your project should be lined up. And as we already, Michelle already had a good catch, this might actually be a little bit more than 7 to 14 pages since we're writing about our time in Pittsburgh, 2 to 3 pages each day. And then we'll make sure that you have all of your bibliography at the end if you need any help with that. We have some writing people at BGU that can help you out, but everything should be in the BGU template, and we'll actually take a look at that when you're here in Pittsburgh. And then there are some great support tools. So if you're struggling at any point to get the technical part of your paper down, again, if this is your first BGU paper, you might have some questions, then just let us know. And we have some great resources at BGU to help you out. But I did just want to reference that final paper template that we have available to you, so that you can see the things you're going to be graded on. And here's the grading criteria. I'll have some other rubrics that I'll be uploading into Populi for you to look at that are involved with things like your journal and the book review, so you can just see specifically how you'll be graded on those things. So, and then scrolling all the way, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Obviously, these things here at the end are are important for you to take a look at. You know, plagiarism often happens at BGU accidentally, in my experience. So it could just be you read something and then you wrote it and forgot to put the quotation in there or cite it, or you were expressing it as your idea when you had really read it and it came from somewhere else. So the main thing is however you organize, just do your best to try to cite everything that you're writing that's other people's work. And that's an important part of the process, especially as most of you work towards your dissertation. You'll have to become really effective at citing and all of that. So I know we have more questions. We have about 5 more minutes here. So go ahead if you have a question.
I do have one more question about the journal.
Yes.
Do we start the journal Friday, the day that we get there, or Saturday, which is our first whole day there?
That's a good question. Well, this is a good group. I would like for you to have it on Friday, so you can write about your travel experiences. You can write about your first, our first welcome dinner. So one for each day would be great. Good question.
I have a quick question, or maybe it's just something I need you to look at. In Populate on the lesson, some of the weeks don't line up with dates.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like week 5 says October 2nd through 8th. And so I just want to, I'm that kind of person that wants it all to line up and match. So I just wanted to just make sure that we're not like missing something.
Yeah. Kathy, thank you for that. I have my first few weeks of content entered in properly, and the other dates were dates that Judy had imported in just to get from another class. So I apologize for that. That'll be fixed by the end of this week.
I just wanted you to know.
Letting me know. Yeah, I'm still working on some of the content for the later parts of the course, and I forgot to change the dates.
Okay.
Thank you, though. That's great. By the way, I'm not easily offended. So please, whenever you find something like that, that's a mistake. Chances are other people would have seen it as well, and I'll do my best to fix it as quick as I can. Thank you for letting me know.
Brian, just a last clarification, you did state that there is a template for the journal that we're starting to narrate for Pittsburgh.
Yep. So,
okay.
So go ahead, Michelle. Yeah, I cut you off.
A template is in Populi.
Yep. So the template will be in Populi, and that's what you'll submit your whole final document as at the very end. And so there should be some tricks of the trade, or some people when they get home and they like each evening and they're doing their reflection journals, they'll just actually put it right into Populi and then go back later and edit it. Some people handwrite it in their notebooks and then go back later on and type it all in. Or
catch one time. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Doc, final question from me. Final question, quick.
Yes.
Is there a template for the project or guide or structure that you will post, or some other research that was done before?
So I got your question was about the template.
Or structure of the paper, of the research paper.
Yes.
Of the project, sorry, yes.
Yep, so if this is your first BGU course, if you've already taken one, then you're familiar with the paper template. But for every class that you take at BGU, you'll use the same paper template that organizes it with the title page, table of contents, book reviews, journal entries, course.
No, sorry, Doc, I'm good with that. I'm speaking specifically to the course project in terms of how it should be laid out in terms of the structure of the course project, not the one.
I see. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for clarifying that. I misunderstood your question. So yeah, it's another question about the course project. And I'll tell you what I'll do between now and next week, because we're running out of time for this time together. I'll I'll provide some more specifics on the course project. I'm not trying to be sneaky or anything like that. I'm trying to keep it open because there's a lot of flexibility for creativity in your course project. But your course project, if you're taking that course for 8 credits, is going to be 40 pages in length, and you're going to have quotations from your readings, but it's all going to be specifically related to your local context. And I'll try to hash that out a little bit more next time we have our Zoom meeting next week.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
That helps. I'll make a note to do that. since we have some anxiety over that. I don't want anyone to have any anxiety. And as I mentioned, I'm happy to connect with you before you come to Pittsburgh, and if you want to set up a private Zoom meeting to talk about it. So, well, thanks everybody. I'm sorry, this time just flew by and I have to head into the academic cabinet meeting, but I'm sure there's more questions, and I know ordinarily I'm not going to talk as much as this. This is really unusual for me to talk at you for an hour. So, but I did want to make sure we went over the syllabus, and I'd love to connect with you via email or Zoom or any other way. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. And I'm going to go ahead and close us in prayer, and thank you all for your time today. God, I lift up this group, and I pray over these things that we talked about today, that you would provide wisdom and clarity and discretion from your Holy Spirit for how we proceed and move forward. And God, I just thank you for this time and for these leaders. I pray that you would continue to guide them through the rest of this day or this evening, wherever it is their time. And we just give you all this Pittsburgh course in advance, and we trust you, Lord, that you're going to guide us and lead us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I'll see you all in Populi. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
God bless you.